On December 8, 1918, at exactly 8:00 a.m., something truly inexplicable happened within the small cell of Padre Pio. In San Giovanni Rotondo, the Capuchin friars reported sensing a perfume of roses, so intense that it permeated the entire monastery. But what no one knew at the time was that on that very morning, the Blessed Mother herself appeared to Padre Pio to reveal a secret that the Church has kept hidden for over a century, a secret about the day of the Immaculate Conception and the 8 graces that descend from heaven every hour of this sacred day. And today, for the very first time, I'm going to reveal to you exactly what Padre Pio saw and heard that morning. But wait, before we continue, you need to understand why this day, December 8th, is so different from all other days of the year. You see, within the spiritual calendar of the Catholic Church, there are moments when the veil between heaven and earth becomes extremely thin, moments when divine graces can traverse more easily. December 8th, the day of the Immaculate Conception, is one of those moments, but not just the day. It's the hour that matters. Each hour of this day carries a specific grace, and Padre Pio, through his Stigmata and his direct connection with heaven, received the complete revelation of this mystery. Imagine for a moment, you are there. In your daily life, you may be tired, maybe discouraged, maybe even doubting if God truly hears you, and during this time, every year, on December 8th, 8 heavenly gates open successively, 8 graces descend, and most Catholics spend this day without even knowing it, without even reaching out to receive what is destined for them. Padre Pio often wept, thinking about this. He said that heaven was pouring out treasures and that the earth was letting them flow away, like water in the sand. But you, today, you are going to be different, because I am going to show you exactly what Padre Pio revealed about each of these 8 graces. The first grace descends at dawn, between 6:00 and 7:00 a.m. Padre Pio called it the grace of the purification of the soul. He explained that it is at this precise moment that Mary, in her Immaculate Conception, intercedes to cleanse souls of all inherited stain. It is the moment when the weight of ancestral sins can be lifted. Padre Pio advised to wake up early on this day, to take some holy water, and to recite 3 Hail Marys, specifically asking for this purification. He told the story of a woman from Boston, Abigail Miller, who had carried an unexplainable burden of guilt and sadness her entire life. On December 8, 1947, following Padre Pio's instructions, he rose at dawn and did exactly what he had said. The instant she finished the 3rd Hail Mary, she felt something physically detach from her chest. She described it as an invisible chain being broken. This woman lived another 42 years after that, and all those who knew her testified that she was transformed, radiant, as if a permanent cloud had been lifted from her soul. But listen carefully to what comes next, because the second grace is perhaps the most powerful of all. The second grace arrives between 7:00 and 8:00 a.m. Padre Pio called it the grace of inner healing. This is not a physical healing. Pay attention. It's something much deeper. It's the healing of the wounds that no one sees. Those old pains that you may have carried since childhood, those betrayals that have left invisible scars, those rejections that have marked your heart. Padre Pio said that Mary, at this precise moment of the day, pours a heavenly balm on these wounds. He recommended To sit in silence, with eyes closed, and to present mentally, to Mary, each wound, each pain. He said, "Do not try to explain, do not try to understand. Simply present, she knows, she sees, she heals." A Capuchin friar, Brother Thomas, documented the case of Ethan Bell, a man from a small Italian town who had been severely abused in his childhood and who carried an inner rage that poisoned each of his relationships. On December 8, 1952, following Padre Pio's instructions, he sat in silence at 7:00 a.m. He closed his eyes, and without saying a word, he simply thought about his pain. Brother Thomas recounts that Ethan remained motionless for an entire hour. When he opened his eyes at 8:00 a.m., tears were streaming down his face, but they were not tears of sadness. He said simply, "She took it all. She took it all." This man subsequently became one of the most devoted volunteers at the House of Hope Hospital, helping other injured people to find peace. And now, prepare yourself, because the third grace concerns something that many of us have been waiting for for a long time. The third grace manifests between 8:00 and 9:00 a.m. This is precisely the hour when Padre Pio received his first vision of Mary on December 8, 1918. He called it the grace of the opening of pathways. It's the grace for those who are blocked, for those who feel that all the doors are closing before them, for those who have projects, dreams, vocations, but who encounter obstacle after obstacle. Padre Pio explained that the devil often works to close the paths that God has prepared for us. But at this precise moment, on December 8th, Mary has the special power to break these blockages. The ritual that Padre Pio recommended was simple but precise. At exactly 8:00 a.m., you must light a white candle. Then you must write on a paper the path that you want to see open, not a list of 10 things, one path, the most important one. Then you place this paper under a picture of the Immaculate Mary, and you recite the Magnificat 3 times. Padre Pio insisted on the number 3, 3 times, not 2, not 4, 3. The testimonies of this grace are particularly numerous. In the archives of San Giovanni Rotondo, there is the case of Dr. Daniel Harrison, a young doctor who had failed 5 times. The exam to enter a hospital in Washington, D.C., each time he failed by only a few points. On December 8, 1955, he followed exactly the ritual of Padre Pio. He wrote, "May the path towards my vocation as a doctor open." 3 months later, he not only passed the exam, but he was ranked first. And this is not a coincidence, because the president of the jury, Amor, told him later that an administrative error had been corrected just before his exam, an error that had caused his previous attempts to fail. But be careful. What comes next might be what many of you need to hear most. The fourth grace descends between 9 and 10 a.m. Padre Pio called it the grace of family reconciliation. How many of you have unresolved family conflicts? Siblings you no longer speak to? Parents who have hurt you? Children who have drifted away? Padre Pio knew these family wounds are among the most painful. He said the devil loves to divide families because a divided family is a weakened fortress. But on December 8th, Mary, who is the mother of all families, has a special power to heal these divisions. Padre Pio's ritual for this grace was very specific. Between 9 and 10 a.m., you must take a photo of the person with whom you're in conflict. If you don't have a photo, simply write their name on a piece of paper. Place this photo or paper in front of an image of the Holy Family. Not Mary alone, but the Holy Family. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Then recite the Our Father 3 times, adding after each Our Father this phrase, "Mary, reconcile our family as you reconciled heaven and earth." The most extraordinary documented case is that of the Rossetti family from Boston. 2 brothers, Ethan and Daniel, hadn't spoken for 17 years because of a poorly divided inheritance. On December 8, 1960, Ethan's wife, Abigail, who knew Padre Pio, did exactly this ritual. She didn't say anything to her husband. 3 days later, Daniel showed up at their door. He simply said, "I don't know why I came. Something compelled me to come." The 2 brothers reconciled that day and were never separated again until their deaths, 2 days apart, 23 years later. Now the 5th grace. And this one might surprise you. The 5th grace arrives between 10 and 11 a.m. Padre Pio called it the grace of protection against evil. This isn't ordinary protection. It's specific protection against spiritual attacks. Padre Pio knew better than anyone that the devil is real. He fought physically against demons. He bore the marks of these battles on his body. And he knew that many people suffer from spiritual attacks without even knowing it. Unexplained fatigue, obsessive negative thoughts, the sensation of being watched, recurring nightmares, conflicts that arise out of nowhere. Padre Pio said that on December 8th, between 10 and 11 a.m., Mary unfurls her blue mantle like an impenetrable shield. The ritual he recommended involved blessed salt. You must take salt that has been blessed by a priest. At 10 a.m. exactly, you scatter a pinch of this salt in the 4 corners of your house, saying at each corner, "In the name of the Immaculate Conception, may this house be sealed against all evil." Then you place a small amount of the salt in a small pouch that you will keep with you throughout the following year. Padre Pio himself recounted the case of a house in a small Italian town where a family had been experiencing strange phenomena for years, objects moving on their own, unexplained noises at night, an atmosphere of constant fear. On December 8, 1950, following Padre Pio's exact instructions, the father of the family did the salt ritual. From that day on, never again did a single strange phenomenon occur in that house. Padre Pio later commented, "Mary's mantle is more powerful than all the legions of hell combined." But now the 6th grace, and this one concerns something that many seek their entire lives without finding. The 6th grace manifests between 11 a.m. and noon. Padre Pio called it the grace of revealed vocation. How many people spend their entire lives without really knowing why they were born, without understanding their mission? Padre Pio said that every soul is sent to earth with a precise purpose, a unique vocation. But the noises of the world, the distractions, the social pressures, all of this obscures that vocation. On December 8th, between 11 a.m. and noon, Mary can lift that veil. The ritual is contemplative. You must sit in complete silence. No music, no vocal prayer, just silence. You close your eyes and ask interiorly this question, "Mother, why was I born?" Then you wait. Padre Pio warned that the answer doesn't always come immediately. It may come in the hours that follow, in the days that follow, sometimes even in the weeks that follow. But it always comes. It often comes through a sign, an encounter, a word heard by chance, a book that falls into your hands. The most celebrated case is that of Abigail Miller, a 22-year-old woman who didn't know what to do with her life. On December 8, 1958, she did this ritual of silence. At noon exactly, she heard a very clear inner voice that simply told her, "The children." She didn't understand. She didn't particularly like children. But 3 months later, through a series of extraordinary coincidences, she found herself working in an orphanage. She discovered her profound vocation there and dedicated the next 50 years of her life to saving hundreds of abandoned children. She always said, "Mary showed me my path on December 8th. I didn't choose it. It was revealed to me." Now the 7th grace. This one is particularly important for those who are going through trials. The 7th grace arrives between noon and 1 p.m. Padre Pio called it the grace of strength in trial. This isn't the end of the trial. Mary doesn't promise that the difficulties will disappear. She promises something deeper, the strength to get through them. Padre Pio knew what it meant to suffer. The stigmata caused him constant pain. He was often persecuted, even by some in the church. But he had this incredible inner strength that came from Mary, and he said that this strength could be transmitted to every soul on December 8th at this precise hour. The ritual is simple but powerful. At noon, exactly, you take a crucifix in your hands. You hold it firmly, and you recite the Stabat Mater, this prayer that meditates on Mary at the foot of the cross. Padre Pio said, "When you recite the Stabat Mater on December 8th at noon, you unite yourself with Mary at the foot of the cross, and she transmits to you the same strength that she had in that terrible moment." There's the testimony of Emily Harrison, a mother whose 18-year-old son was dying of leukemia. On December 8, 1961, in a moment of total despair, she did this ritual. She clutched the crucifix so tightly that her hands actually bled. She recited the Stabat Mater through her tears. Her son passed away 3 weeks later, but something profound had shifted within her. She described this transformation. Before December 8th, I was crushed by grief. After, I still had the pain, but I also had a strength I cannot explain. I was able to be there for my son until the very end. I was able to smile at him in his final moments. I was able to tell him he was going to the Virgin Mary. This strength, the Blessed Mother gave it to me that day. And now, the 8th and final grace. The most mysterious of all. The 8th grace descends between 1:0 p.m. and 2:0 p.m. Padre Pio called it the grace of special intercession. This is the grace you can ask for, not for yourself, but for someone else. Someone you love dearly, someone you've been praying for a long time, without seeing results. Padre Pio explained that on December 8th, at this precise hour, the Virgin Mary grants a special favor to prayers of intercession, as if, on this day when she was conceived without sin, she wants to share that grace with other souls. The ritual is particularly moving. At 1:0 p.m., you write the name of the person you want to intercede for on a piece of paper. You wrap it in blue cloth, the color of the Virgin Mary. Then, you recite the prayer of the Memorare, that prayer that says, "Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thy intercession was left unaided." Padre Pio advised keeping this paper in the blue cloth throughout the following year, until the next December 8th. The testimonies of conversions obtained through this grace are numerous. There's the case of a desperate father, whose son had become an atheist and hostile to all religion. On December 8th, 1954, this father performed the ritual exactly as Padre Pio had described it. 6 months later, without any apparent human intervention, the son had a profound spiritual experience and returned to the faith. He ultimately became a priest and served in that small Italian town for 35 years. But wait, that's not all. Because Padre Pio revealed something even more extraordinary about the combination of these 8 graces. Padre Pio said that these 8 graces are not independent of one another. They form a whole. He compared them to the 8 rays of a star. And when a person consciously receives all 8 graces during the same day of December 8th, something special happens. He called this the seal of the Immaculate Conception. This seal is a spiritual protection that lasts throughout the following year. It's as if the Virgin Mary signs your soul with her personal mark. Demons see this mark, and they retreat. Difficulties may come, but they cannot destroy you. Temptations may attack, but they cannot conquer you. Padre Pio recounted that he himself had received this seal on December 8, 1918, and that he had renewed it every year until his death. He said that it was this seal that had given him the strength to bear the stigmata for 50 years, to endure the persecutions, to combat the demons night after night, and to remain faithful to his mission, despite everything. But now, I must reveal something important to you, that Padre Pio never said publicly, but that he confided to a few trusted Capuchin friars. There is a condition for receiving these 8 graces, a condition that many are unaware of. Padre Pio said that the Virgin Mary cannot pour her graces into a cracked vase. The cracked vase is the soul that holds on to resentment, the soul that refuses to forgive. Padre Pio was very clear on this point before December 8th, ideally the night before. You must make a sincere act of forgiveness, not necessarily telling the person that you forgive them, but in your heart, before God, deciding to let go of the resentment. Padre Pio said that many people performed all the rituals perfectly, but received nothing, because they still carried the poison of resentment in their heart. He told the story of a woman who had come to see him weeping. After December 8th, she had done all the rituals, exactly as he had said, but she had felt nothing, nothing at all. Padre Pio looked at her and asked, "My daughter, who have you not forgiven?" The woman burst into tears. She had a mother-in-law who had mistreated her for years. Padre Pio told her to go home, to sincerely forgive this woman, and to start again the following December 8th. She did it. The following year, she received the 8 graces in such a powerful way that she said it was as if the heavens had opened above her head. So, if you have someone to forgive, do it now, before December 8th. It's not for the other person, it's for you. It's to prepare your soul, to receive what the Virgin Mary wants to give you. Padre Pio also revealed a particularly fascinating element about the precise moment when the heavens open on December 8th, according to his visions. At exactly 8:00 a.m. Rome time, there is an instant, a fraction of a second, when the veil between the visible and the invisible becomes so thin that certain souls can perceive the presence of the Virgin Mary physically. Not all souls, only those who have been prepared by years of prayer and sacrifice, but even for those who see nothing, this moment is the most powerful of the entire day. Padre Pio advised being in silent prayer at this precise moment, with a lit candle and an image of the Immaculate Conception before you. He said that even if you see nothing, even if you feel nothing, something is happening in your soul at that moment, something that will bear fruit throughout the year. There is also a troubling revelation that Padre Pio made regarding the years when December 8th is neglected. He said that each year when a soul could have received the 8 graces, but did not, that grace is lost forever for that soul. It cannot be recovered the following year. It cannot be compensated for. It is simply lost. Padre Pio would weep while saying this. He said that millions of graces were lost each year because Catholics did not know or did not want to take the time to receive them. Think of all the years of your life when you have not done these rituals on December 8th, all those graces that the Virgin Mary wanted to give you and that you did not receive. Padre Pio said that this was one of the greatest sadnesses of heaven, seeing treasures prepared for souls who never come to claim them. But there is good news, even if you have missed years. This year can change everything. Padre Pio used to say that when a soul finally decides to receive the 8 graces, the Virgin Mary grants them a special, extra grace. He called it the grace of compensation. It's not the lost graces from previous years, but it's as if the Blessed Mother is saying, "My child, you have finally come. I am so happy that I am going to give you something extra." This grace of compensation is often the most surprising of all, because it concerns something you would never have thought to ask for. Now, let me tell you about something extremely important regarding the preparation for December 8th. Padre Pio recommended starting the preparation 3 days prior, that is on December 5th. These 3 days are like a shortened novena. Each day, you must do something specific. December 5th is a day of fasting. Not necessarily a complete fast, but at least a fast of the heart. This means abstaining from all superficial entertainment that day. No television, no loud radio, no useless chatter, just silence and reflection. December 6th is the day for an examination of conscience. You must review your year. The moments where you fell short, the occasions where you could have done better, the sins you may not have confessed, and, if possible, go to confession that day. December 7th, the eve of the Immaculate Conception, is a day of joyful anticipation. Padre Pio said that on this day, you must prepare as if for a great feast. Clean your house. Prepare the objects you will use the next day: holy water, blessed salt, a white candle, a picture of Mary, a crucifix, and above all, go to sleep early, in peace, asking Mary to wake you at just the right time. Padre Pio recounted that he himself barely slept the night of December 7th to 8th. He spent the night in prayer, in preparation, but he didn't ask that of lay people. He simply said, "Sleep in peace, and Mary will wake you when it is time." There is one detail that I haven't yet mentioned that is crucial. Padre Pio insisted that all of this be done in secret. He quoted the Gospel, "Let not your left hand know what your right hand is doing." He said that when we talk too much about our spiritual practices, we lose some of their power. Not because God punishes us, but because we seek the approval of men instead of the approval of God. So when you do these rituals on December 8th, do them in secret. Don't talk about them to everyone. Don't put it on social media. Keep it between you and Mary, between you and God. Now, I must tell you about an extraordinary phenomenon that Padre Pio observed in those who faithfully practiced the 8 graces every year. He called it Marian accumulation. It's as if, each year, a new layer of protection and grace is added to the soul. After 3 years of faithful practice, the soul begins to radiate differently. After 7 years, it becomes practically impenetrable to spiritual attacks. After 12 years, something miraculous happens. The soul acquires a kind of special intercessory ability for others. Padre Pio knew people who, after decades of faithful practice of the 8 graces, had acquired extraordinary spiritual gifts, gifts of healing, gifts of prophecy, gifts of discernment. He said that it wasn't magic. It was simply the fruit of a faithful relationship with Mary, maintained year after year. There is the extraordinary case of Abigail Miller, a simple farmer from a small Italian town, Padre Pio's hometown. She had started the 8 graces in 1925. On Padre Pio's advice, she practiced them without missing a year. For 45 years, when she died in 1970, a few days before Padre Pio himself, witnesses reported that her room was filled with the scent of roses, the same scent that accompanied the apparitions of Mary to Padre Pio. It is said that in her last moments, she was smiling and talking to someone invisible. The nuns who were assisting her heard the last words she spoke. "I see you, Mother. I am ready." This brings us to a question that many ask. What happens if you can't do all the rituals on December 8th? If you work? If you are sick? If you are prevented in some way? Padre Pio was understanding on this point. He said that Mary understands the constraints of human life. What counts is the intention of the heart. If you can't be in prayer at exactly 8 o'clock, but you do it at 8:15, the grace is still there. If you can't do all the rituals, do at least the one that speaks to you the most. If you are bedridden with illness, your illness itself becomes a prayer. Padre Pio said, Mary is a mother, not a judge. She is not looking for mechanical perfection, she is looking for sincere love. However, he also added this warning. If you can do the rituals, but you choose not to, out of laziness or indifference, that's different. There. You really lose the graces, not because Mary punishes you, but because you have not opened your hand to receive what she wanted to give you, you know. At this very moment, as you listen to these words, something is happening in your soul. I know it, because Padre Pio said so. He said that anyone who hears about the 8 graces is already receiving a preparatory grace. It's as if Mary is calling you, as if she is beckoning to you and saying, "My child, come, I have treasures for you." The simple fact that you have come this far in this video is not an accident. It is an invitation, a personal invitation from Mary herself. You may feel like you stumbled upon this video by chance, that the algorithm suggested it to you, that you clicked without really thinking. But Padre Pio would say that nothing happens by chance in the spiritual realm. If you are here, it's because Mary wanted you to be here. She guided your steps here. And now, she is awaiting your response, what I am sharing with you today. These revelations of Padre Pio on the 8 graces is not something you will find in ordinary theology books. It is not taught in parishes. Many priests themselves do not know it. Why? Perhaps because it is too simple. Perhaps because it does not require great means. No expensive pilgrimages. No elaborate ceremonies. Just you, Mary, and an open heart. Padre Pio said that the devil particularly hates devotion to the Immaculate Conception. Why? Because it's the day. The defeat of the devil is celebrated in a special way. Mary was conceived without sin, meaning the devil has never had any power over her, and when we unite ourselves with Mary on that day, we participate in her victory. We become, for all intents and purposes, invincible for a moment, and that invincibility extends into the graces that we receive. I want to tell you something personal now. Since I started sharing the teachings of Padre Pio on this channel, something extraordinary has happened. Thousands of people have written to me to tell me about their experiences, healings, reconciliations, conversions, pathways opening in inexplicable ways. Every time I read these testimonies, I think of Padre Pio. I think of this humble friar who spent his life sharing the secrets of heaven with those who would listen. And I tell myself that his work continues through these videos, through your prayers, through the graces that you receive and then share with others. If what you've learned today has touched you, if you feel that it can change your life or the life of someone you love, then you have the power to be part of this mission. The super thanks button below this video isn't just a way to support this channel. It's a way to say, yes, I want these revelations to continue to spread. I want other souls to receive what I've received today. Padre Pio used to say that sharing grace is multiplying it. When you help spread the word of God, you don't lose anything. On the contrary, you gain, because the Blessed Mother sees your generosity, and she rewards it. Now, to finish, I want to give you a practical summary of what you need to do for December 8th. First, begin your preparation on December 5th with the Fast of the Heart. On December 6th, make your examination of conscience, and, if possible, go to confession. On December 7th, prepare your objects and go to sleep early, in peace. Second, on December 8th, follow the schedule of the 8 graces. Between 6:00 a.m. and 7:00 a.m., the grace of purification with holy water and 3 Hail Marys. Between 7:00 a.m. and 8:00 a.m., the grace of inner healing, in silence. Between 8:00 a.m. and 9:00 a.m., the grace of opening of pathways, with the white candle and the Magnificat. Between 9:00 a.m. and 10:00 a.m., the grace of family reconciliation, with the photograph and the Our Father. Between 10:00 a.m. and 11:00 a.m., the grace of protection, with blessed salt. Between 11:00 a.m. and noon, the grace of vocation revealed, in contemplative silence. Between noon and 1:00 p.m., the grace of strength, with the crucifix and the Stabat Mater. Between 1:00 p.m. and 2:00 p.m., the grace of intercession, with the written name and the Remember, O Most Gracious Virgin Mary. Third, do all of this in secret, with a forgiving heart and in joyful anticipation of what Mary is going to do in your life. Fourth, Repeat this practice every year, without fail, to benefit from the Marian accumulation that Padre Pio spoke about. I'm going to finish with the words that Padre Pio always said. When he spoke of Mary, he said, "Go to Mary, always go to Mary. She is the door, she is the path, she is the key. Without Mary, you can pray all your life and miss the point. With Mary, even the simplest prayer becomes a doorway to heaven." December 8th is coming soon, and the 8 doors will open. The 8 graces will descend. The question is, will you be there to receive them? Will you be one of those who reach out to heaven on that day? Will you be one of those who say to Mary, "Mother, here I am. I have come to seek what you have prepared for me"? Padre Pio, from heaven, intercedes for you at this moment. Mary, the Immaculate Conception, extends her hands toward you, and I, a humble servant of this mission, pray that each of you receives the 8 graces in all their fullness. This December 8th, may the blessing of the Immaculate Conception be upon you, upon your family, upon your home, upon everything you undertake, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. I'll see you very soon for other revelations from Padre Pio. Stay faithful, stay close to Mary, and never forget, heaven loves you more than you can imagine. Among the 8 graces, which one touches you the deepest? Is it the grace of inner healing, the one of family reconciliation, or perhaps the one of protection against evil? Write it in the comments. And if you've ever had an extraordinary experience on December 8th, share it. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to believe.